If you're taking advantage of the energy of the new year to refocus and recommit to your Spanish, but are feeling a little bit lost on how to make meaningful progress this year, how to structure your work in order to reach the goal that you have set out for yourself, how to be consistent in the process, then I highly recommend you check out my platform, Spanish with Carrie, for the month of January. On January 2nd, I taught a live class to set the foundation for this challenge for January and for your Spanish for 2024. It was my most well-attended live class, and I think that members really got a lot out of the process of getting clear on their goal, identifying their specific problem areas, and then creating progress goals based on those things. I'm giving you guys a little sneak peek preview so you can see how amazing the participation has been. Really, even I'm feeling inspired when I read my students' posts, what their vision is, what their goal is, what they have planned for this year. As I mentioned, I taught a live class. It's linked right here in the challenge description so that you can view it if you weren't able to attend live. So students have to, step one, get clear on their goal, think about how they visualize using their Spanish, how they want to feel in Spanish. Number two, they have to identify their specific problem areas, whether that's pronunciation, lack of vocab, listening comprehension, inconsistency, being scared shitless to speak. These are all different problem areas that you might need to get over in order to reach your goal. And number three, create progress goals based on your specific goals and your specific problem areas. Okay, I gave some examples here. I created a Google Doc that people can use, a PDF that they can use to kind of walk through this process, an example of that document filled out, and then a whole list of resources, including suggested podcasts, vocab lists, grammar lessons, etc. So take a look at how much participation we've had so far. I've been giving feedback where I can, giving some suggestions to people based on what they've written here. You also have the community aspect, right? A whole bunch of other people that are in the same boat as you. You might feel like you're alone in your feelings in Spanish, but you'll read other people's posts. You'll read what we've been talking about in the chats and you realize you're not alone. You're surrounded here by a safe place, people that are going through the same thing that you're going through. So again, if you want to refocus, recommit to your Spanish, create a structure for yourself, create more consistency, I highly recommend you check out Spanish with Carrie platform. The link to join is right there in the podcast description. I'm going to remind you that you're signing up for a subscription, just like Netflix or Hulu or anything else. You will get charged every month on the same date unless you cancel. So if you just want to sign up for January to kind of get this structure, take some time to get clear on your goals, and then also report weekly back on what you've done, have that accountability, have that structure, have a list of resources that you can pull from, then sign up for January, but know that you're going to get charged on February on the same exact date. So if you want to avoid getting charged in the future, you have to cancel your subscription. That's how subscriptions work. We know this. Y sin más preámbulo, let's get started. Episode 40. This is the class on the previous episode where we taught you guys some of the commonly used parranda songs. In today's class, we're going to cover some vocab from the episode. We're going to review some lyrics. I've got a Puerto Rican pronunciation example for you guys, musician spotlight, and some corrections for myself. This might look like a tall order, but really, I think we can get through this pretty speedily. Really only 3 vocab words I want to go over from the episode. Let's start with una petición. I mentioned that this episode came from una petición. Una petición is a request. This would be what you'd say to the DJ, una petición por una canción, a request for a song, a request for an episode. Or I put in yoga here to give you guys the example of when I have a small class, they're just 2 or 3 students, I'll say, hay algunas peticiones, since we've got a very small class, I can ask if there's any specific requests that they would like to work on, things that are bothering them, etc., that I can sort of work into the routine. Okay? Una petición, great word, a request. Envuelto, and we're going to come back and look at some examples of this. This word is so important. Here we're seeing it in adjective form, envuelto, envuelta. I should also have /s here because we know that all adjectives can exist, masculine, feminine, and or plural. All right. So envuelto, envuelta means wrapped up in or involved. And like I said, we're going to look at a number of examples of that so you can see that in context. Finally, a word that I learned in this episode was repertorio. Repertorio is the repertoire. And repertoire is, of course, we're talking about the different kind of songs that any particular parranda has in their repertoire. Everybody's repertoire changes a little bit based on tradition, based on where they are, etc. Let's look at envuelto here. So in the episode, Alfredo used it twice in this line where he talked about en las parrandas, hay alcohol envuelto, mucha bebida envuelta, right? In las parrandas, there's alcohol involved, a lot of drink, a lot of drinks involved, okay? So that's where it came from in the episode. Let's look at another one. Estoy envuelta en esta entrevista con Cat Williams. Have y'all seen this? Good Lord. Estoy envuelta en esta entrevista con Cat Williams. I am wrapped up in this interview with Cat Williams because, good Lord, it is juicy. All right. Envuelta is such a great word to describe what we use a lot as wrapped up, all consumed by. Envuelto. There's a couple examples of it. Let's look at the verb form of it. Envolverse. This is where this comes from. Envolver. So if you already know how to conjugate the verb volver, then you know what to do with envolverse, right? And it's a reflexive verb, so it needs the me, envuelvo, te, etc. We'll go over that right there. So first of all, me envuelvo, like I said, it's a reflexive, which I've talked about reflexive verb 8,000 times on this podcast. Me envuelvo leyendo mi Kindle por la noche y termino acostándome bien tarde. So me envuelvo, in Puerto Rico me sound like tarde, right? Me envuelvo leyendo mi Kindle por la noche y termino acostándome bien tarde. Me envuelvo leyendo means I get wrapped up reading my Kindle at night and I end up going to bed, acostándome, really late, okay? I get wrapped up. Envolverse is to get wrapped up. If I haven't mentioned it already, which I kind of doubt, you use reflexive verbs to express get with an emotion or a physical state, okay, to get wrapped up, to get involved, to get sick, me enfermo, to get tired, me canso, to get frustrated, me frustro. We use reflexive verbs to imply getting with an emotional or physical state. Okay, so me envuelvo, I get wrapped up. Reading, literally reading in Spanish, the ing form of it, my Kindle at night, and I end up termino. I'm pretty sure I've gone over how termino is used as to end up doing something in this podcast before. Termino acostándome. I end up going to bed really late. Right. Let's look at another example. This one was really imprinted in my mind. I was in San Juan, Viejo San Juan, and I was paying at a parking garage, and I had walked up to the counter, and el muchacho no se dio cuenta. He didn't realize that I was there. He was wrapped up in something, and when he realized, ay, perdón, and he started to charge me, and I said, "Oh, está bien, te envuelvo." It's like you get wrapped up, and he laughed. Sí, me envuelvo. I think it marked me so much because this was early on when I was in Puerto Rico. I had learned about envolverse and what it means, but I think this was the first time that I used it in a situation like this, and somebody really felt like, what I said kind of nailed their experience. And I know that sounds silly, but you realize in Spanish, you're frustrated for so long, you don't feel like you're really able to connect with people. That definitely happened to me when I first got here. You're just so slow that you can't get things out quickly, and that limits those quick interactions that you have with people that you come across day to day. This little interaction that, he thought it was so funny that I said that and felt like kind of nailed it. It meant a lot to me because I didn't have much of that at that time. I didn't have many examples of quick interactions where the person laughed or I just was able to connect. It's hard to go through that. And I was definitely there for probably at least the first 6 months being here, where I just felt really isolated and like I didn't have opportunities for quick connection with my community. So a little thing like that really marks you and makes you feel less alone, less isolated, and less out of place. All right, guys, that was really the only 3 words that I was going to go over. The rest we'll kind of go over here as we look at the lyrics of the couple of parranda songs that we went over, el coro, the chorus of those parranda songs. So first we talked about the song that at least the parranda that Alfredo goes to or plays in, they use to announce their presence or to arrive. So this was the Despierta, buen puertorriqueño, que somos tus amistades, venimos llenos de alegría porque son los días de las Navidades. So wake up, good Puerto Rican. We are your friends. We come here full of joy because it's the days of Christmas. If this doesn't sound like maybe the most conversational thing you'd ever say, well, think about Christmas songs in English. How often are you using boughs of holly conversationally? Remember that lyrics are not often a representation of how we speak. We have to think about rhythm and rhyme scheme and etc. So don't dissect these lyrics all too much about why is it like that? I wouldn't have said it like that. Well, a lot of times we don't speak like we sing. We don't speak like we write, correct? Now, I do have some clips of these songs from Las Parrandas that we've done this year. So I'll share whenever I do have a clip from the song, I'll share it with you. Let's check out this one here from about 2 weekends ago. Porque son los días de las Navidades. I didn't get that last part. And yes, Alfredo sang this in the song that and they might throw in a te. We came to you, right? We came to you full of joy. So te venimos llenos de alegría. Sorry, I know Los Palitos was very very loud in that video. I was standing right next to Alfredo's cousin who was playing Los Palitos. So that's the most thing you're going to hear today. Next song, guys, was the Esta Navidad, yo no quiero llanto. Okay, so this Christmas, I don't want any crying. Yo no quiero llanto. I don't want crying. Lo que quiero es ron, pitorro del campo. Lo que, you should know from my Bad Bunny series and the many times that we translate lo que, what I want, lo que quiero, what I want is rum and pitorro del campo. I believe when Alfredo said the lyrics first before we sang it, he said, lo que quiero es ron y pitorro del campo. I do have a video of them playing this song. So for me, I told you guys in this episode that I've learned most of these songs by my ear. I did not hear E at all. I just hear lo que quiero es ron, pitorro del campo. So listen to this next video and tell me if you hear the same thing. Lo que quiero es ron, pitorro del campo. Okay, so this time I was close to Alfredo, so what you're mainly hearing is el requinto, el pandero más pequeño. The smallest of the hand drums is the one that Alfredo plays. It's the one that's a little bit more syncopated. Going back to these lyrics, I failed to define pitorro. I should not assume that everybody knows what that is. That is Puerto Rican moonshine. They make pitorro with all types of things. Pitorro de coco, pitorro de guaynaba, pitorro de piña. I've had pitorro that's really good. I've had pitorro that burns like hell. I've had pitorro that's bien suave. So you'll find it all. But yep, Puerto Rican moonshine is pitorro. We all know that ron, hopefully, is rum, right? So this Christmas, I don't want crying. What I want is rum and pitorro del campo. Next we have, a mí me gusta mi pueblo, a mí me gusta mi gente. Okay, very easy lyrics. I like my pueblo. I like my people. I do have a song. This is the one that I mentioned is my favorite video of La Parranda because when Alfredo's brother gets there, you just see everybody's smiling faces, everybody. I don't know how well the quality is of the video I'm going to show you. It looks a lot more clear, of course, on my phone. And there you can really get an appreciation for everybody's smiling faces. This one, for some reason, did not want to download for me. So we're going to jump over to Google Drive. A mí me gusta mi pueblo. A mí me gusta mi pueblo. A mí me gusta mi gente. A mí me gusta mi pueblo. A mí me gusta mi gente. A mí me gusta mi pueblo. A mí me gusta mi gente. Just love it. Just love it. Don't cry. I'm such a sap. Next, we've got Viva mi bandera, viva mi nación. Viva mi bandera, viva mi nación. Viva los boricuas que son boricua de corazón. Okay, so live, Viva Mexico. Viva mi bandera. Bandera is flag. Nación is nation. Viva los boricuas que son boricua de corazón. The Puerto Rican boricuas that are boricuas from the heart. Pretty straightforward. I've got a video of this one as well. Woo! ¿Qué clase party? And this is a faster version than I think what we usually do. Viva mi bandera, viva mi nación. Hey, viva mi bandera, viva mi nación. Okay, dame la mano, paloma. Paloma, por si no sabían, is a pigeon. Paloma means pigeon. Of course, all the vocab that I'm going over today is available via our Patreon page, ready-made Quizlet decks for you with vocab that you can guarantee is used in Puerto Rico. Okay, so give me your hand, pigeon. Give me your hand, pigeon, to come up to your nest. Tu nido. Nido is a nest. Subir, to go up or come up. Okay. Give me your hand, paloma, to come up to your nest. We sing that twice. And then, que me han dicho que estás sola. They've told me that you're alone. Let me do that again. They've told me you're alone, and to accompany you, I have come. Of course, we would do this backwards. I'm sure this is, again, rhyme scheme, but we would say this more like, and I've come to accompany you. He venido a acompañarte. Give me your hand, pigeon, to go up to your nest. They've told me that you're alone. They've told me that you're alone, and I've come to accompany you. As Alfredo explained, we're not talking about a bird here. This is referring to una muchacha, right? Que está sola en su cuarto. I don't have a video of this one, as we mentioned in the podcast. It's not one that they sing very often in La Parranda that Alfredo plays in. Okay, but a very, very popular one. This one goes, dame la mano, paloma, para subir a tu nido. I'm not like super, super confident about the tone of this one because we don't sing it that often, but I know this part goes, que me han dicho que estás sola, que me han dicho que estás sola, acompañarte venido. Next song is El Cardenalito. This is one of my most favorite songs. I do have a video of this. However, I can't put it on the screen because it'll make me cry. It was from Alfredo's dad's funeral. And of course, that was kind of a vulnerable moment for him too. So not going to be sharing that here. Beautiful song. A little bit, because it is religious and uses some fancier language. So let's go over this. Estando en la cruz, nuestro redentor. Redentor means our redeemer. Nuestro redentor, means our redeemer. Okay, so being on the cross, our redeemer was on the cross. A sacar la espina llegó un pajarito. So to pull out his thorns, okay, the le is to pull his out, implying that it was happening to Jesucristo, nuestro redentor. To pull out his thorns, espina is a thorn, came a little bird, or arrived a little bird. He stained, manchar means to stain. Manchó su plumaje is he stained his feathers with the blood of Christ, con sangre de Cristo. Y por eso es rojo, and that's why he's red. That's why the cardenalito is red, okay? Being on the cross, our redeemer. To pull out his thorns, arrived a little bird. He stained his feathers with the blood of Christ, and that's why he's red. That's why the cardinal is red. You can do it. Estando en la cruz, nuestro redentor. The other reason why it's helpful to learn these songs via your ear rather than via the lyrics is because you'll get the authentic pronunciation of how it's sung here in Puerto Rico, right? It's not going to sound like estando en la cruz. It'll sound like estando en la cruz, nuestro redentor, a sacar la espina, espina, right? Drop that S. Espina, llega un pajarito, manchó su plumaje con sangre de Cristo, y por ese rojo, y por eso es. You're not going to say, y por eso es rojo. Drop that S. Y por ese rojo. I always take advantage to do the rojo, y por ese rojo, el cardenalito. Not everybody sings that, but I enjoy it. If you learn one song from this whole episode, please learn El Coqui. Okay, this is a great song and very, very popular here in PR. Durante las Navidades. Tienes que preservar una tradición. So you have to preserve a tradition, because if not, the coqui won't sing. You have to preserve a tradition, because if not, the coqui won't sing. You see future tense right here. I'm like the coqui, that I wake up singing. Amanezco. Wake up early in the morning singing. I'm like the coqui. At night, I make people happy. Voy alegrando doesn't have a literal translation. I go making happy. It's not the way I would say that. I bring joy. I make people happy. I'm like the coqui, que en Borinquen he vivido. I've lived in Borinquen. I'm like coqui, that I am native from here, coqui. I do have a video of them singing El Coqui. Sorry, it's really dark. We were in the front where there wasn't a lot of light. That's fun. After the chorus, there's a little get down right there. Okay, so we started about maybe right at the end of Tienes que preservar una tradición porque si no el coqui no cantará. Yo soy como el coqui. And you'll hear, at least in this parranda, typically it's Danny who he's the guitarist. He's the one that'll sing que me amanezco cantando, and everybody else joins in for the yo soy como el coqui. Que en Borinquen he vivido, yo soy como el coqui. Next, the very easy chorus for the voy subiendo, voy bajando, si vives como yo vivo vacilando. This is such a song that I associate with Sansei. I think of it as the song of Sansei. Voy subiendo, I'm going up. Voy bajando, I'm going down. If you live like I live vacilando. We talked about vacilar, to have a good time, to have fun, gozar, to enjoy life. I wanted to share this article because for me, really, voy subiendo, voy bajando is la canción de las fiestas de la calle San Sebastián. Here we've got a clip from El Nuevo Día. They even use that as the name of the article, right? Voy subiendo, voy bajando. Mira cómo se pasó el segundo día de las fiestas de la calle San Sebastián. Look how the second day of the fiestas de la calle de Sanse went. Okay, and we can go here and look at some of las fotos de la Sanse. Love these. Los cabezudos. These are really awesome. Last year, because I moved here in the pandemic, last year was actually the first time that I got to experience La Sanse, and I absolutely loved it. So well organized, completely free, ton of music, ton to do. It's a great time. Okay, guys, and finally, we shared these two choruses that are used to the same song. The first one was Me hizo una mujer de un saco de maní. Right, we sing that twice. I made myself a woman out of a sack of peanuts. We sing that twice. And it turned out so good that I ate her. It turned out so good that I ate her, which, yes, there's double meaning going on there. Okay, the other, of course, that we sang to that same exact melody was Yo tenía una luz que a mí me alumbraba. Again, super helpful to hear these, to learn these first via your ear, because this is what it sounds like. This is how you can get all these words out in such a short time. Yo tenía una luz, the tenía and una have to run together. Yo tenía una luz que a mí me alumbraba, and the me alum has to run together too. Me alumbraba. Yo tenía una luz que a mí me alumbraba y venía una brisa fuá y me la apagaba. Y venía la brisa fuá y me la apagaba. Okay, so when you learn it from native speakers, you learn at the speed, you learn how they run the words together, how they drop some sounds, etc. And then you can have the same ritmo that they've got when they're singing. I want to take that song, the Yo me hizo una mujer de un saco de maní, to talk about a part of Puerto Rican pronunciation, which is the dropping of the letter D, which we have absolutely talked about in examples like this. I know that I've shared with you guys the vocab word pompear. Estoy pompeado, or if you're a guy, estoy pompeado. This would technically be pompeada, but in Puerto Rico, we often drop that D, so it ends up just being like an accented A for a feminine ending. Estoy pompeada or estoy cansada. If it was a guy, it would sound like estoy pompeado or estoy cansado. Okay, I've got that as the second example. We drop the D in what would be cansado, and so it sounds like cansado. If you were a woman, it would sound like cansa. Okay, you will often see Puerto Ricans phonetically spell out how they pronounce verdad as belda. Verdad. So they're not doing a strong verdad. That the last D in the word is not being pronounced all that strongly. Of course, we got the L thing going on, verdad. So it might be like that. So a lot of the letter D being dropped. I want to go over a particular example that I don't think we've looked at before, which is dropping the letter D in the word de. While we have written the lyrics like Me hizo una mujer de un saco de maní, you will not hear it sung like that. It's sung like Me hizo una mujer de un saco de maní, saco e money. It is very, very common in Puerto Rico to drop the letter D in the word de in examples like this. De un saco de maní. Okay. I would also say in the song El Cardenalito, I probably think it's more sung like Mancho su plumaje con sangre Cristo. Con sangre Cristo. There's like a, but there's not a sangre de Cristo. Very, very common to drop the D in these kind of examples. Finally, you'll hear it a lot with agua y coco. Agua y coco is going to be more commonly heard in Puerto Rico than agua de coco. So much so that our friend here, the artist Cani Garcia, has a song, Agüita y Coco. Agüita y Coco. She's a singer, songwriter, activist as well. Definitely worth checking out, Cani Garcia. But here I particularly wanted to give you guys an example of the dropping of the D. This would be Agüita de Coco, but she's naming the song just like we might say Gonna, Gonna. That's how we pronounce it. We don't really say going to, we say gonna, right? Often. Agüita y Coco is how it's often going to be pronounced here. Or let me know. Another example in English, right? We often don't say let me know. We're not going to pronounce the T. So it's just the phonetic spelling of how it's pronounced. I just wanted to spotlight two musicians that are so important to La Parranda and las canciones que se usan en La Parranda, the songs that are used in La Parranda. So we mentioned Andres Jimenez in the podcast. We've talked about him before as well. So Andres Jimenez is known as El Jíbaro. He's a composer and singer of traditional Puerto Rican folk music. He's the best known contemporary trovador, is what they name these type of singers, and musician of that genre of Puerto Rican folk music. Okay, a lot of songs pro-independence for Puerto Rico, very much about la patria. This was Alfredo's father's favorite musician, Andres Jimenez. I love his music as well. We also have Dani Rivera. He's one I refer to a lot if I'm going to look for a song or a studio recording of a song from La Parranda. I usually will go to Dani Rivera, singer and songwriter born in San Juan, whose career spans nearly 50 years. He's well known in Puerto Rico for his political activism and is the only Puerto Rican to star at Carnegie Hall in 4 different decades. That's pretty amazing. I didn't know that. I wanted to include that in there. I learned that as well. So these are two artists to check out if you want to listen to more parranda music. I love to listen to parranda music en las Navidades aquí. Really, it puts me in the spirit, and it's just such a beautiful tradition that I've really enjoyed about the culture here. So check these two out if you want to look up some of the parranda type songs, get yourself in the spirit. And it just wouldn't be an episode if I didn't make some mistakes, right? First of all, guys, I realized for the first time in my 20 years of speaking Spanish that I have been pronouncing this word wrong. I've been saying funciona. There is no, you do make that kind of X sound or KC when there are 2 C next to each other. For example, la palabra lección for a lesson has 2 C's and it makes that X sound, lección. Or a correction, correcciones. Those have 2 C's, so it'll make an X sound. Okay, when there are 2 C's in Spanish, it makes a you could either think of it as a KS or an X sound. Lección, corrección, etc. But this, as you'll notice, does not have 2 C's. And I just freaking realized that I've been saying it wrong. It should be funciona. Funciona. I'm hearing it more often. I have said it so long the wrong way that saying it the right way doesn't feel right. It will probably take me months, maybe years to rewire this pronunciation. This is why if you're a beginner, it's so important that you spend time on establishing good pronunciation, because bad pronunciation habits are really hard to break later down the line. I was aware that I was making this mistake when we recorded the episode, but I made it again. I said funciona. It's funciona. No X sound at all. An S and an N and then an S. Funciona. These are my nemesis. Having to correct lo and la is something I do daily in Spanish. So Alfredo had said, exacto, esa parte es siempre el coro. And I should have said, because he was talking about that part, I should have said la canta. But what came out of my mouth immediately? Lo canta también. And then I corrected myself. La Canta, because I know that we're referring to esa parte. This is what I do every freaking day. Alfredo gave me the benefit of the doubt. Alfredo gave me the benefit of the doubt. He tried to help me out with this and switched it to ese final. Sí, lo canta también ese final. I'm sorry, I don't know why this is wrong. Lo canta también, right? The chorus, group of people that are singing along, sings that ending as well. He helped me out and just switched to the noun so that my lo wouldn't be a mistake. I think for native English speakers, it'll just never be intuitive to think of it as having a gender. So I most of the time reach for lo first, and then I have to correct myself when I realize that what I was talking about was feminine and I should have said la. Another mistake I made, masculine, feminine, was here I said, hay canciones, exacto, religiosas, hay otras muy de la patria de Puerto Rico, hay unos que son simplemente como chistosos. I'm talking about canciones. This needed to be, hay unas, there are some songs, unas canciones, hay unas que son simplemente como chistosas. They're just like funny, okay? Chistosas, both of these needed to be feminine. I tell people as an advanced student, as an advanced Spanish speaker, I say masculine and feminine never stop sucking. I might have a slightly different perspective than the average advanced Spanish speaker because I teach the language. So there's a lot of grammar that's not hard for me anymore because once you've had to explain it 1,000 times, it's pretty much in there. So there's a lot of things with verbs and other parts of grammar that don't challenge me as maybe as much as other advanced speakers, but I think masculine and feminine just never stop sucking. All right, guys, thank you so much. I have a new logo. I'm absolutely in love with it. Find me on YouTube, Instagram, and TikTok at CarrieB_. Remember, sign up for my Spanish with Carrie platform. If you'd like to get organized on your goals for 2024, kind of create a plan for yourself, create some progress goals, and avoid what it is that makes students commonly fail in the language learning process. The link to sign up is right in the podcast description. Of course, our link for the Patreon page is in there as well. Remember that both Patreon and my platform, you're signing up for a membership, so you need to cancel if you want to avoid being charged in the future. Muchas gracias. Cuídense.